welcome back to Coaches at Crown Brew Getting Coffee. I'm Coach Martin, and once again, I've got a great guest today to share the insights into coaching and the athletic career. This man is pretty amazing and had a great impact. And he's one of those guys that doesn't need much introduction in this town, and I'll get to that in just a second. But I want to thank the folks at Crown Brew for letting us do this, and for Ross and Abby and the Swinford Media Group for allowing these podcasts to take place. I want to thank my buddies at Adrenaline Fundraising for the great work they do in helping coaches raise money for their programs and help them take them to another level, because we know the money crunch that sports and athletics sometimes takes, and it's great to have a resource like Adrenaline there to support the coaches and the players and to help with those extra things that make a program special. And my guest today is Darrell Wimberly, and Wimbo, and it is great to have you here, brother.
Thank you, brother.
He's a special man, and as I said, one of the most recognizable people in this town. Just Darrell Wimberly is just known as Wimbo. And I have two things. I told you I was going to get you.
Okay.
There's two things you never do.
Okay.
You never speak after Darrell Wimberly. So when we do speaking engagements, and we've done a few together, yes, I try to make sure I go before Wimbo, because I cannot match his energy and his enthusiasm and his abilities. And the second thing is, if you want any attention at all in a parade, you do not put Darrell Wimberly in the back seat of your vehicle, because every time I'm in a parade with him, the crowd goes crazy. And just for a moment, I'm thinking, hey, wow, they really like Coach Martin. And no, it's because Wimbo is in the back seat. And the crowd is chanting from both sides, hey, Wimbo. So he is a beloved figure. And I don't blame them one bit either, because if I was in the crowd, I'd be chanting Wimbo too. But he's an amazing man, a great mentor, a man of God, a leader in the faith. Wimbo, you do a lot of things, and you do all of them well. And most of all, I thank you for your friendship. And I love you, and I'm glad you're here today. And welcome to our show.
I love you too, brother. And just set the record straight. I don't like following you either. Okay. I mean,
you're so kind.
No. But anyway, it is a blessing, Coach.
Yeah.
I mean, moving to Southern Illinois, like I said, who'd have thought it? It's a plan of God.
Amen.
And I'm so glad I said yes.
Hey, I'm glad you said yes too. I came here and I brought some coaches with me when I came from Carterville, and I inherited some coaches from the previous staff, and you never know, if it's going to be a mix. And of course, having a chance to work with you and Walter Skeet and Jason Roper and some others that were here, and
yes,
and Rick, and just I inherited some great guys that helped me build a program here, and so welcome. Let's talk about you. I normally go through a very long, kind of extensive bio, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of talk about your career as we go.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Something a little bit different.
Perfect. Uh-huh.
And so let's start off about your childhood. I know you grew up in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes.
I think I said it right.
Yes, Louisville, the Ville.
So the Ville, yeah.
The Ville.
So tell me about your childhood growing up, and how sports had an impact on you.
Okay, sure, Coach. First off, grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. I actually grew up in projects called Carter Homes. It's housing, as they call it today, but we call it Brick City, BC. Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about bricks for days. You couldn't burn that place down, okay? But anyway, that being said, my childhood wasn't the greatest, okay, because my biological father never was in my life. So that's kind of part of my story as far as why I do what I do today with young people. But anyway, so he wasn't in my life. But my mom, a lot of people raised by their mother and father. I was raised by my mother and grandmother. Okay, and so my mom, God bless her soul in heaven, she was attracted to abusive men. And so a lot of my childhood was seeing a lot of abuse, a lot of alcoholism, different things like that. So I was exposed to a toxic environment. And so with that being said, I had a lot of anger issues growing up. And so coming to sports, I was able to use football as a tool to take my anger out. And then I had to learn how to control that from that perspective. So if that makes sense. So I looked at my stepdad, and I look at my opponent, I thought about all the abuse that my mom took. And my mom loved me. And as an adult, I realized she was doing the best she could to take care of me.
Well, I know on numerous occasions when we worked together, you would tell young men that were having trouble off the field to channel that energy and that anger and that frustration into something positive.
Yes.
Because you had done that, you had lived that.
Yes.
And I always thought, yeah, you had so much credibility in saying that. I couldn't say that because I can say it, but I didn't live it, and you lived it.
Yes.
So with those words came credibility, and I think that really helps some of our kids find football as an outlet to that, and I think that's very helpful.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and you know, in school was a refuge for me.
Yeah.
I never missed school. I mean, because it was a place I could be safe. I didn't have to worry about anything. But again, with my childhood, when I heard a door slam one time at school, and I thought it was a gunshot. So I actually, my senior year of high school, I asked my mother if I could go live with my grandmother. Because I wouldn't have made it had it not been for getting out of that environment. Again, I love my mom, and even when I became an adult, she asked me a question that was very difficult. She said, "Was I a good mother to you?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and I know that we can jump into this part of it now because you have surprised a lot of people by telling them that when you were young you had a drug problem.
Yes.
Which kids when they hear
okay, I'm busted.
When they hear Wimbo say that, and their jaw drops, their eyes get wide, and you say my drug problem was
I had a drug problem. You know, I was drugged at church by my mother, by my grandmother, by my aunt.
I love that.
And so you know, when my grandmother or anyone, my mother would ask me, "Were you going to church?" It wasn't a question.
Yeah.
It was, "You're going to church."
Yes.
So, yes.
But that laid a foundation for you.
Yes.
That maybe planted some seeds that would sustain you through that and later on become a huge part of who you are.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So
yes.
what a blessing.
Yeah. Well, and I found peace in Christ in the midst of all the chaos in my household. And the late, great Reverend J.C. Powell was my pastor back when I went to church at Pleasant View Baptist Church in Louisville, Kentucky. And the sermons that he was preaching from God just resonated in my heart. And the peace he talked about is why I got saved.
When did that happen? How old were you?
12 years old.
Oh, so it was young. You were young. Okay, well that's great. Yeah.
And that's the first installment of my salvation, if you will. When I got to college, I'll talk about that later. But
Okay.
Other things.
You're a really good high school football player. But I've seen pictures of you when you were in high school and in college, and the massive human being that you are now is not the man that I saw in those pictures. No, I mean, you were a linebacker in high school, and obviously a very good one. Tell me about your high school playing career and how that led to college, and what's your nickname? Tell us, folks, what your nickname was. I love it.
Okay. So first off, my high school career, when I was in high school, I was 160 pounds soaking wet, even my senior year. Okay.
So one time we weighed the same.
And I've never made it to 6'5", but they always list me as 6'5",
coaches do that. Coaches do that.
So, but anyway, I weighed 160 pounds soaking wet. But with that being said, you know, I didn't think, I heard some players talk back to coaches. I didn't think you could even say anything to a coach if he said anything to you. But the thing is, in my high school career, I really felt blessed because I had a coach. Don Wigginton was my position coach. And so he always, first I thought he was a racist, actually. Then I felt like he didn't like anybody because he was just mean. He was just mean, but then something happened, okay? We would watch film. And it's not like we do, you know, where you got it on huddle and all that. Yeah. It was the 8mm, So anyway, so we'd have a game on Friday night, and then on Saturday morning we'd watch film at his house. And you know, I lived in a project, so the activity bus don't run on the weekend. So I said, Coach Wigginton, I can't come because I don't have a way. He didn't argue with me. He just said, Slim Goody.
Slim Goody.
He said, the players that are at my house Saturday morning watching film will be the same players that are going to play next Friday night. So and this is crazy because I got it. I said, so what he's telling me, I ain't going to play if I don't show up. So I showed up, and I don't like to be late. As you said, I like to be early.
Yep.
So I was a half an hour early.
Yep.
His wife let me in, and so he has his daughter, 4 years old, sitting on his lap. And he puts her down and says, Daddy's got a coach now. And when I saw this person, now think about this, my biological father never was in my life. So here's this man that is taking time with me, and as opposed to his own daughter. That's why I went into coaching.
God, that's beautiful. Yeah, what a transactional moment for you, a moment of almost an epiphany that this is something an impact a coach can have. He's investing in me.
Yes.
And it becomes, we've talked on here on this podcast before, that when a coach shows you that kind of relational connection, it makes it easier to accept his discipline.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Because then when he challenges you in practice, you know it's coming from a place, he probably wouldn't have used the word love, but that's what it was.
Yes.
He was investing in you, which is a form of love, and I think that's what a cool story, what an impactful thing to share. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And, I played tight end and outside linebacker in high school. And so he was our offensive line coach. So what my point is I was blessed to be All-State, but it was really just because I listened to my coach and I did everything he told me to do.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that's really a big part of it, just like biblically.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're blessed when we're obedient to God.
Right.
And so when I was obedient to Coach Wigginton and what he taught me, and then Coach Joe Hood was my head coach, and he gave me rides home sometime. And I tell you a funny story. He's giving me a ride home, even to the projects. And he said, Slim Goody, I can't believe that I'm entrusting my pension to some 16-year-olds.
I've had that thought a few times.
And again, as a teenager, I didn't know what that meant, but now as an adult, I'm sort of thinking, wait a minute now, you get frustrated sometimes.
Yeah, it's true when you put it that way. It's kind of scary. Yeah, and you move your family, and again, the success you have, you think it's very much based on what you do, but it's also based on what those kids do.
Yes, exactly.
And you're going to invest in kids you haven't even met yet,
right.
and you didn't recruit them either.
No, you didn't.
You just got them.
The kids running down the hallway.
But it's funny. All the places I've been, how blessed I was with the people that I met at each stop, and group of kids that inspired me as much as I had tried to inspire them. And it's a cool thing, but it's kind of scary when you put it that way. Yeah. You chose to go, you had some college offers.
Yes.
I know you went to Louisville University, but did you have other offers and that's the one you chose?
Well, actually I had an opportunity to go to Cornell University. Again, looking at what I know as an adult, probably Cornell would have been because Ivy League, that type of thing. But I had Indiana, University of Tennessee, so I had some locals, Purdue, so on some of the college visits I went to, and matter of fact, I went to Tennessee's orange and white game, and they had about 60,000 people at an orange and white game. That was impressive. Yeah. So again, but the reason why I chose University of Louisville, I narrowed it down to University of Indiana and University of Louisville. I wanted to go into business, and then both of them had very good business schools. The problem is, though, with me, I'm just thinking, my mindset is this: I'm not going to be able to get back and forth. So I'm thinking I'm going to stay here.
Oh, I get it.
At home. The other thing is some of the advice I got, and this was probably the bigger reason, is I was talk to some of the business people in the community. They said, if you go away and play college football, when you come back, you've kind of lost that connection. But if you stay home, then you will still have that connection. And that later on actually helped me in my career.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So that was good advice.
Yes.
What was Lee Corso at Indiana at that time?
Yeah, Lee Corso. And matter of fact, it was a neat thing because he came to my high school at Butler High School, and my buddy said, "Hey, Wimbo, Lee Corso's here to see you." I said, "Man, leave me alone, quick."
Little did you know how famous he would become, and even not really for coaching to the people around, but college game day, man. Lee Corso, he's iconic. So that's cool, though. Yeah. But you chose Louisville. You played there. Had a great career. Talk about your time at Louisville.
Yeah. Well, and so at the University of Louisville, I played outside linebacker. Well, first off, it was myself and a young man named Felton Ray. He was an outside linebacker and a tight end.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were going to put one at tight end, one at outside linebacker. So they told us go out for a pass. I went out for a pass. I dropped it. I said, "You're playing linebacker." So anyway.
Wow, a drop ball actually worked well for you.
Anyway, I don't know if I dropped it on purpose or not, but anyway, no, I didn't. I tried everything to catch that ball. Yeah. But anyway, so I played outside linebacker. My freshman year, I was able to dress and travel, which was neat, okay? But the thing is, my sophomore year to my senior year, I was able to start. And I had a teammate, which name was Jay Troutwine, really good. As a matter of fact, he was the protocol. He was the same height as I was, we probably weighed a little bit more, okay? But matter of fact, over the summer, I actually gained 30 pounds. So I was, instead of 160, I was 190. But anyway, so Jay was pretty much the same size I was, okay? And so I was competing with him for the starting position, okay? So the thing is, one day I went into and saw the depth chart, and his name was ahead of me. I couldn't go talk to the coach because that don't do any good.
Especially back then.
Yeah, it was like, why are you still here? You turned in your scholarship? And I know it's not proper English, but when I practiced, when I saw that, I kept saying, ain't no reason. Ain't no reason. It was motivation. It was motivation that if it was raining, if it was snowing, I didn't care. I was going to do my best and do what I needed to do to get my starting position back. And so with that being said, I was able to earn my position back. And then again, just to tell you the dynamics of it, is his dad was very rich and put a lot of money into the program.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
My dad was MIA.
Right.
Okay? And I'm not saying, I'm just telling you all the dynamics of it.
It is a dynamic.
Okay?
Yeah.
But again, at the end of the day, Coach Maul, my position coach, that didn't mean anything to him. He wanted to play the best player.
Amen.
And so that's what I had to focus on. Sometimes people can be distracted by that and also use that as an excuse.
That's right.
That's not an excuse. So,
Well, it could be to some people.
yeah, it could be.
But I love the fact, we talk about lessons taught in each of these podcasts, and you've already dropped a couple already, and there's one, how you used adversity as an opportunity.
Yes.
How you saw the obstacle as the way.
Yeah.
You could have used that many different ways.
Yeah.
You could have got bitter and quit and said it's not fair, but instead you allowed that to motivate you, and probably, I'm guessing, Wimbo, made you a better player.
It did.
Because it elevated your work ethic, elevated your desire, and motivated you, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, and I tell you the other difference, Coach Martin, was, and I tell this to young players too, is Jay was really good. The problem was, though, he was a hot dog.
Oh.
He blitzed when he wasn't supposed to. And I'm not being talking out of school, just that's just what it was.
Right.
I wasn't that good. I couldn't. I had to stick to the script.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And so what I'm saying is he probably had better talent than I did.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting at. Be honest. He probably had better talent. I'm saying that. So I had to stick to the script. So as we tell our players, you do what we coach you to do, and if there's something that goes wrong, we can make adjustments.
That's right.
But if you do your own thing, I don't have an adjustment for that other than to replace you.
No, it's tough to make adjustments on the field when players are not fulfilling the game plan. And you're right. But if they are, man, adjustments become really, really much simpler. It can happen in one snap instead of waiting till halftime and then find out what went wrong.
Yes,
so,
yes.
But so when you have a great career there, you talked about you got to play in some really cool places. You went to Florida State.
Yeah, Florida State. Oh, they talk about Florida State. So I'm a freshman, and we go to Florida State. And I don't think they can do this anymore. But anyway, so they have this Indian, this on a horse, this Seminole on a horse, a white horse. And he is riding around on the field. And then he comes to our sideline, and he has a spear, and he throws it down. Boom! Right there at the 50-yard line on our sideline.
Crowd goes crazy.
crowd goes crazy. What have we gotten into? So we didn't have a whole lot of good experiences at Florida State. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, we played Miami, University of Miami, Florida State. We played 2 of those 3 every year.
Yeah.
The time I was there.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And what a cool experience. I'm sure you played against, I think, we talked about, of course, I'm a Dolphin fan. I think you had some experience with Mark Clayton, wide receiver for the Dolphins,
Yes,
and went to Louisville University. That's cool. And played with some guys that made it at the NFL.
Yeah, Frank Minifield was another one of the gentlemen that I played with. You know, and of course, Eddie Johnson and Otis Wilson were a little bit older than I was. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, big old.
I love it. And then, so when your career's over, you get an opportunity, to do some NFL tryout stuff. Yeah. Did you think you had a shot at getting drafted?
No, but I think that's another thing about being in the arena. And the meaning this is they were there to see Mark Clayton. They were there to see Frank Minifield.
Right.
And because obviously I'm on the same team, apparently I did something that give them a second look to want to, hey, talk to me about it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I was actually had looks from New England, and then the Jets were the final two offers. And again, not knowing a whole lot, and again, knowing what I know now, the Jets, their scheme was a 4-3. Okay, me playing outside linebacker. New England was a 3-4, and now I know that a 34 linebacker outside is more of a true outside backer. Okay, in the 4-3, not so much so. You got to go from center to outside. My point is, I wasn't quick enough to do that role in that scheme. But again, it was a great opportunity. I wanted to make sure that I would take that opportunity. I was 3 classes short of getting my bachelor's degree in accounting, business administration, majoring in accounting. So I made a commitment to myself that once that was over, however it ended, I would go back and finish my degree.
Well, I know the Jets did not sign you.
No.
I've always hated the Jets. I hate them even more now because of what they cut you.
Yeah, but I will tell you this: I got $1,000 signing bonus.
Did you really?
Yeah. And you look at what these guys get; they get $1,000.
I know. Yeah, right.
Just to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, well, it just adds to my list of things about the Jets I hate. So David Gully's watching; he's a Jet fan. So you end up, you get done with that door closes, yes. You go back to school, you finish your degree, and then what a lot of people don't know about you is that you went into the business world for several years. Yes. And I know you as an insurance, was it always insurance?
Yes.
So it was always insurance. So tell me about that insurance career, and then we'll get into how that led to coaching.
Sure, yeah. Okay, so as I'm getting ready to go to the Jets, I'm working out at the University of Louisville football complex. There was a gentleman named Steve Jecker. At the time, he was a district manager for Commonwealth Life Insurance. And I don't know how he ended up being there or why he was there, but he was there working out. And he gave me his card. And he was very polite. He said, when you get done, or if it doesn't work out at the Jets, here's my card. Well, I'm on the plane coming back from Hofstra University from Long Island, New York. I call him. And he says, yep, come in for an interview. And so the problem was, he said, I'll hire you, but you have to be licensed first. So I basically had to go back to the job I had, which is at Value City Department Store, and eat crow, because they sent me a nice, send off. Hey, you're gonna be a star football player in the NFL.
That's a tough comeback, isn't it?
They even gave me luggage,
Oh my God!
I was like, do I have to give the luggage back? But that's a humbling thing, though, to go back. Right. Because here's what I did, Coach, and again, I give God the glory for this, because this is just something that I look back and wonder, why did I do this? But what I would do is I worked at Value City from 5 to 9. I would go to the Commonwealth Life Insurance office, and I would go from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock and study for my exam to get my license to become an insurance agent. And I would show up, and people thought I worked there, I guess, but I would just go back in the conference room and study. And then, of course, once I got my license, I was hired. Yeah. I ultimately ended up spending 20 years in the insurance industry. Wow. Yeah. And then back to the point where Gil Sturchill was one of the people that was in the business community, and he's the one that gave me an opportunity to be a sales manager, if you will.
So you sold, and then you managed those who sold.
Yes.
Yeah. So you had a little bit of both.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Did you prefer one over the other?
I really loved the management part, because I looked at it as a coach. Yeah. And even with my agents, instead of me saying how many sales did you make today, I would ask them, how many people did you help today? Ooh. That's really good. That could mean you talked to someone and what they had was in good shape. So you didn't make a sale, but you helped them because you gave them confidence in what they had was fine. But then you get referrals, and that's how you are successful. But again, I don't look at how many sales you made. How many people did you help today?
Culture is a big buzzword in business and in athletics right now, and building a solid culture in your organization and how that fosters business success. Yes. And what you just were saying, how many people did you help today, to your salespeople, is dead on with what they're saying in 2024. The way good organizations are creating culture is not about the bottom line. you help people, you serve people,
Yes.
you serve your staff, and the business takes care of itself. That's
Yes.
how you get repeat business. That's how someone says no today, but yes tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So you're ahead of your time, brother. I'm telling you, man, you are. So I'm serious.
Yeah,
I mean that. I mean, that's, and they weren't even using the word culture back then, but what you were doing was a very modern form of creating that positive culture among your people.
Yeah.
Because if you just ask them how many policies did they sell and they didn't have a great day,
Yeah.
that's a tough thing to say to your boss. But when you ask them, well, I didn't sell a lot, but I did help some people, that's putting a positive spin on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Love
Yes,
it, man.
yes.
That was great. So you end up in Marion
Yes.
in the insurance business.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about coming here. First impressions, what you say to Dion, your wife, you say, we're going to Marion, and she said,
Yeah. Okay. First of all, yeah. Okay. We actually spent 18 months in Cleveland, Ohio, as a sales manager. I'm sorry, and so we moved back to Louisville, and I'm thinking, okay, we're back home.
Yeah.
I actually had managed an office in Louisville. I thought, man, this is great. And then something happened with the manager in Springfield, Illinois. So the manager in Marion moved to Springfield, and they needed someone to take her spot.
Ah.
So that was me. So they gave me an opportunity to come. And so I told Dion, I said, sweetheart, we got an opportunity to move to Southern Illinois, to Marion, Illinois. And she said, you're going to move where? I was like, okay.
I love it.
I was like, okay.
Did you have to get a map out and look and see where Marion was?
I'm so embarrassed. We're going to, we got a map and said, of course, at that time you had MapQuest. You didn't have it on your phone and all this
Right.
stuff. But anyway, so we're going and we see a sign that says 57. Well, that wasn't Interstate 57. It was just Route 57, and we get off there and said, this ain't right. So we came on down.
Yeah.
The point is we got to Marion, and it was so different just because the small town compared to Louisville. Matter of fact, my daughter, Shayla, when she had friends, asked her if she wanted to go to the mall the first time, they asked her, she said, which one? Because she used to several malls in Louisville, and of course here, because there was only one mall.
Yeah.
So unless you go to Carbondale,
Yeah. That's awesome.
But anyway, so we moved, but it in itself is a blessing.
Yeah.
Because the house we moved into, we still live in today, and we're blessed.
So you settled in pretty quick.
Yes.
And so at some point, somebody approaches you about coaching, and I'm right now I can't recall how that happened. So I wasn't here yet, but you get invited or you get an invitation to come and help the coaching staff. Who was the connection with that?
Yeah, well, first off, my son Anthony he liked to play baseball, so we went to the batting cage at Ray Fawcett Park. Okay. So we go to the batting cage. I'm not a baseball guy, so I'm gonna go shoot baskets. So at that time I could still get out and shoot a little bit, Yeah. And so I go down to the basketball court, and Chris Dalton and Stephen Campbell were there. And they like, hey man, you play football? I said, yeah. Well, you gotta coach us.
It doesn't take very long to get to know Chris.
Yeah. So I said, okay. I said, so let me talk to your coach, and they gave me Brent McGee's number.
So they're the ones that connected you to it.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So I contacted Brent McGee, and I said I just want to volunteer, and so he allowed me to volunteer, and so I tell you what, and I'm sure I told you this before, but because of the certain things. Not to be negative, but certain things that were allowed to happen that goes against my beliefs, meaning one, a player misses practice and then he would still have to be told I had to start that player at linebacker. I was thinking, I'm not coming back. Yeah. I volunteered, I'm gonna finish the year out, but I'm not coming back. Of course, we went to the playoffs, which was great. Yeah. But this is how God works. A man named Kerry Martin, which I didn't know you at the time, comes and gets the job at Marion High School. So I'm coming to you as a coach. Can I stay?
Oh man!
And I'm glad you let me stay.
Yeah. What a blessing to know that's you never know how things are going to happen, and so we meet. I'm impressed from the beginning, but you were not at the school yet. You were still working insurance, right?
That's correct. Yes.
And so we begin our rebuilding process, and it's a struggle. Yeah. But we're in the struggle together.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the most important things is that as you're going through that, the one thing I knew I could count on was, Jeff Seema, Jason Dunning, Walter Skeet, Darrell Wimberly. I mean, my staff was in this with me.
Yes.
to the end. And I that sustained me through that very much. My faith, but also my faith in my staff. You guys never wavered. We had ups and downs.
Yes.
First 2 years, we were close to being a playoff team.
Yes.
Lost a lot of close games.
Mm-hmm.
But having you guys, knowing that when things went really south in 2004, I knew I had my guys and they had me.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal, Wimbo.
Sure.
And so
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And so we end up turning a corner. And as we turn the corner beginning in 2005, you start working at the school in what year?
2003.
2003, you get on board full-time as the Dean of Students.
Yes.
Did you know what you were getting yourself into?
No. Ironically, I was just volunteering for coaching football at the time. That would have been my second year volunteering.
Yeah.
And so Dion calls me and says, "Hey, Darrell, there's a guy trying to offer you a job at the high school. It's Ray Huseman."
Oh, wow.
And so Ray, because he was at the high school and they were getting ready to start the extension center, so he had to find someone to replace him at the high school.
Gotcha.
And so he was wanting me to come and be the dean of students. And so I talked to the late Wade Hudgens, and when Dion and I came back from a trip to Louisville, he calls me up. Took about a year for it to all come to fruition.
Okay.
Yeah. And so again, the thing is though, is he calls, "Hey, I got to have you as my dean of students." And so here's where God comes in the picture at. When they first offered it to me, it was about $30,000 less than what I was making. Because my guys were doing a great job, sales and so forth. I mean, insurance is up and down. So anyway, so I thought, I don't know if I can do this. And so long story short, so over that year's time, I made $20,000 less. So God taught me you can live off less. And then so when Wade called me, I prayed, my wife Dion and I prayed and said, "Hey, Lord, don't let it be about the money." And so we got, obviously we went signed up for it. I was hired. And then Steve Smith was the principal at the time. And I was telling him about all the trips, and so he'd asked me about myself and about the insurance career, and I was telling him about all the trips I won to Cancun, Mexico, to just different places, Canada, Montreal, Canada. I was telling him all the places, and he said, "Well, the only trip you're gonna win here at the school is down to the courthouse to defend yourself." And sure enough, I was in truancy court trying to help young people. But anyway, long story short, I say, why did I not say yes to God sooner? Because it's been a true blessing. Yeah. But I didn't know it at the time. Yeah. So yes.
Well, it's interesting you see that as a blessing, and you were such a blessing to every kid, every teacher, every student, and so I know there's some reciprocation there. You felt blessed, but we all felt blessed by you, and I was thrilled to have you in the building every single day. I mean, that really helped build that rapport and that culture that we wanted to build, and having you there every day. You took to it like a duck to water, as my dad would say. I think people just need to know, like, you memorized faces of kids, and you learned their birthdays, and you made a connection every day when they walked into the building. And I don't think that needs to ever be, it could not be talked about too much. And I think the impact, it was a daily thing. It was kind of like, I think of it as drip irrigation. It's a drop here, it's a drop there. And it doesn't look like much, but over time, what you put into those kids a little bit every day, Wimbo, made a profound difference. And wherever we go, we walked into this coffee shop today, and one of the people that you greeted every single day is working here at Crown Brew, and she immediately leaves the counter and comes and gives you a hug. But again, that's all people need to know. That there's an encounter with someone. You never coached her, you never had her in class, but you still have a relationship that's positive and wonderful and respectful, and it's awesome, man.
Well, Coach, I tell you, thank you. A couple of things. One, I've learned in life, especially when I think about where I came from and my biological father never was in my life and things of that nature, but God did place people in my life that were equally, if not more, important and instrumental in my success. So my point is in saying that, I learned early on that everything, what business, education, whatever you're in the business sector or in the education sector, it's all about building relationships. Okay, and that's kind of where that comes in at, building relationships. And then the other thing is that I think about this. is when I started working at the high school. I didn't set out to be there 20 years. I just one day at a time. But I had a prayer that I said, God, there's nothing that's going to happen today that you and I can't get through together.
Amen.
And that helped me get through the day.
I want to kind of piggyback on that. Someone can say you're in the football business. Someone can say you're in the insurance business. Someone can say you're in the education business. But what we all links us together is we're in the people business.
That's right. Yes, yes.
And I found out early on that building a successful church or business or classroom or football program, the reason you can do the same thing in each of those to build it is because they're all involving people.
Yes.
And so there are common threads to success in all of those. When I first got into coaching, I thought it was just about football or just about teaching. It's not. It's all interconnected. And so the truths that make success in one thing make success in the others as well. And you proved that. You walked straight from the insurance success, athletic success, insurance success to school success because you knew it was about people.
Yes.
And that's a pretty cool thing. Now, I'm going to jump into some football stuff real quick.
Sure.
You're my linebacker coach.
Yeah.
and I got to say this because obviously you were the perfect man to coach our linebackers. And, I had Jeff Sema and I had you and I had Jason Dunning on the defensive side for many, many years.
Yes.
And it got to the point where as the offensive coordinator, I could put my game plan together and I could walk down and check on you guys and get the overview of what you were going to do.
Yes.
And I went home and I didn't think about defense until the next day of practice, and I watched what you. My point is, I turned that over, and you guys just took care of that defensive side of the ball, and it was amazing. And to do what I had to do offensively, I needed that from you guys, and man, 3 trusted brothers on that side of the ball, and so as a linebacker coach, real quick, what are the keys to that position? As a specific football question, What are 2, 3 things that you think the key to playing linebacker?
Okay. Heart.
Okay.
You got to want to do the job. Eyes. You got a key. I really believe the key. Offense. You guys. I don't worry about trying to stop trap these plays. I want to look at blocking schemes. I want to see where's that guard going? Where's that tackle going?
Dang it.
You got us. And you got to start doing this misdirection stuff. So I said, check, flow. So so heart, eyes, and then feet. Amen. You have to get to the ball. There's no excuse. And
I have to tell people that we do have a little format that I don't have surprises on here, but that wasn't on here. Okay. And you answered that so well. Like you came those 3 things because that's exactly what you believe.
Yes.
And it was such an easy answer for you. But man, a young linebacker coach out there needs to be taking notes because, and what happened was some of the toughest opponents we played all year was going against our own defense.
Yes.
Because you guys were so good, it made me a better coach. I had to come up with ways to beat our own defense. I couldn't just do anything, even with good talent, because you guys would find a way to stop what we're doing. Dang it. So when you started getting really good at reading, I had to give you false reads just to have success. And I think we made each other better.
Yes.
And I think that's what a good coaching staff and a good football team does. But man, it's awesome.
Well, you made me a better coach too, because I will say this, 2 things in you and our relationship. I think the first one, when things were going south, early on in your move to Marion, I'm sure you're thinking, okay, I won a state championship at Carterville. I could have gone to the playoffs every year without even blinking. I come here. What the heck was I thinking?
Okay, you got me. There was a few times I thought that, yeah.
So we had a conversation. It's a brotherhood, and we were getting to know one another. And I just looked at you and I said, Coach, don't change what you do. At some point, you'll get players to buy in to your process.
Yeah.
So that's where God gave me input to you.
Yeah.
And then you gave me some input because there was one time I was getting on my players, my linebackers, because they didn't do something that I expected. And you said something to me was very, to the point, was Wimbo, should they have known that? And what I got from that is, did I teach that properly?
Right.
So when you did that, I changed my game plan as far as practice plan and making sure that what I expected, I inspected.
Yeah.
during practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And made sure I covered it. So, if, for example, if I want to make sure how are you going to take on a pulling guard, okay? If a kid takes it on wrong, well, I want to make sure I rep that. I want to make sure. So you called me on that and said, hey, so instead of you wouldn't say, hey, I shouldn't get on the players. You just asked the question, should they have known? Meaning to me, did I train them properly? Did I prepare them properly?
As iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
One man sharpens another, right?
That's right, yes.
And that's a good example of
Yes.
that. I mean, I think, we had to learn, and I had to hear that from you, and maybe you had to hear that from me, and I think our staff did a good job of having those kind of honest exchanges, because one of the great things about both coaching, the last 2 coaching staffs I've been on, really all 4 I've worked at, but I think about that ability to have guys be honest with you
Yes.
and give you honest answers, and not just, I'm the head coach, so say yes to me, but having honest answers and being frank with each other and saying, I like this, I don't like this, and here's why, and do it in a civil manner.
Yes, yes.
So awesome. Thank you so much for that. And I wore this shirt today on purpose because it's one of the greatest shirts we ever got. This is from the 2007 season. We made a little playoff run.
Yes.
And we beat the Bulldog. We beat the Bulldog head down
Yes.
here. We played the Green Wave, so we're on a surfboard.
Yeah.
And we're holding the head, I think, of a Trojan.
Yes.
But it was a great season, 2007 season. We coached some amazing players, and Matt Brown, Derek Morham, and Micah Markley, and a whole bunch of others were outstanding players on that team. What a great season. What this T-shirt doesn't show is that there's a rocky shore called Metamora. But what a special time, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk to you today and talk about what an amazing job the whole staff did that year, and you did with your backers, and everybody did with their positions, and we had a good run, brother.
Yes, we did.
I'll never forget being on social media one night, and I saw the Final Four in Class 5A, and I saw Marion Catholic, and I saw Metamora, and I saw Morris, and I saw Marion on the screen. I saw 4 M's, and I said, wow, we're one of the 4, man. That's a cool experience.
Yes.
But what a cool thing, some pretty good runs there, and had a long stretch of playoff appearances, and I just know, so blessed to have great coaches involved. And one of the things I want people to know about is that what has become big, even bigger than ever in the coaching profession, is technology.
Yes.
And so where we used to exchange films, we used to have film developed.
Yes.
Back in the old days.
Yeah.
Then we had VHS tape exchange. We had to meet somebody somewhere.
Right.
Then we had, for a while, we had DVDs.
Yes.
Short window.
Yeah.
And now we do everything online.
Yes.
Through a program. Ours is called Huddle.
Yeah.
And films are just uploaded and downloaded. And I have to tell people that you were amazing at that. And to the point where I never had to worry about anything, but you just showed me how to do it.
Yeah.
Show me what to do. And,
Yeah.
I got better.
Yes.
But thanks to you, but you taught me that. But that role on a coaching staff is so important.
Yeah.
And you took care of that for us. And no one's car was at the school more than yours. I felt, but what a tribute to you. And the other blessing is you liked it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't like surprises when it comes to an opponent. That's first.
Yeah.
I do think there's an art and a science to football. Okay. And so the science part of it is if you can break down film, whatever amount of time you spend on the front end will be equal, if not more, success on the back end when it comes to the game.
Right.
And
That's
execution.
Right. That's
right. So that's why I enjoyed it, because I'm looking for little intricacies.
Yes.
Okay. Does this guard, when it's a pass, is this guard sitting back? I mean, I watched it. We talked about it when we played. I think it was Rich East. I think
Rich
it was.
East.
And they had this play. They would student body right.
They pulled
everybody in a
everybody.
certain formation and said, "Hey guys, as soon as they do this, let's go." And we go to the party. And man, that first play of the game, man, we had a loss of about 7 yards.
Yeah.
And we were tuned in from that point on.
Well, it was a game. It was a game we were not supposed to win.
Yeah.
It was a game where we were. That was one of the largest teams we ever played, physically
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
And you told the kids all week long, first play of the game will set the tone.
Yes.
And they ran that full student body sweep, and I watched our defense chase it down, throw it for a loss. And it absolutely set the tone of that game. But again, that's film study.
Film study, yes.
And we couldn't have done the film study we did without you breaking that down for us. And people need to know, we sat across from each other on the bus for many, many years.
Yes.
And on those way home from a long game, we had some long bus rides.
Yes, yes.
You're sitting over there on the bus, breaking that film down. And sometimes I'd see your head nod. You're breaking that film down some more, and head would nod. And or you'd come home and go straight to your office, and you'd have it ready for us on Saturday morning. And it's invaluable, Darrell. I just want to tell you how much I appreciated that. I think the other thing I want to mention is how much you did to create highlight films for our kids.
Yes.
And John Ibeck did it for years.
Yes.
And then you took that over and made highlight films, lasting memories. And now I'm in retirement. I sit in my den and I watch them.
Yeah.
And they're awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you.
And it's a cool thing to reflect now. But thank you for doing that as well. But I know you enjoyed that
well,
too.
I did. Yeah. Well, and you know, and I would have a player come up to me at the beginning of the year and say, Coach Wimbo, can you make me a highlight reel at the end of the season? I said, tell you what, I can only take what you do on the field. I can't make stuff up.
Yeah.
But my point, I did enjoy it because,
Yeah.
and I think about, I really wish that I could have had something like that. And again, not just for me, but just to be able to look back and see the progress as a player. And so players, that's like you said, it's a lasting memory, you know, and to see a young person commit to something. And I love to see the growth.
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't plan on sharing this, but I'm going to share it. That you and I know of a young man who played in our conference, was an outstanding player, a player that he tilted the field.
Yes.
And he came to me after we played his team. He's graduated, he's gone, he's an adult now. And this man is waiting for me after we played his team. He's back in that town, I guess. And I said, can I help you? And he walks up and says, Coach Martin, you may not remember me. And I'm like, yeah, I remember you. Okay. He was phenomenal. And he said, I was wondering if you had any game film of me in high school, because he said, our school doesn't have any film of me playing. And he goes, my son doesn't believe I was as good as I say I am. So I said, well, let me tell you, I'll go home and I'll look. And I went home and I found film of him, and I was able to take that film and mail it to him. And he said it was one of the greatest moments. He could put that in. His son said, Daddy, you were better than you said you were. But again, he didn't have a coach doing that, or didn't have the capabilities of doing that. And you've done that for so many kids here. But I thought it was a cool thing to be reminded of how much those films mean to our kids and what it meant to that young man.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I only wish I had more to give him, but I only had a couple games.
Sure.
But it was enough. But also, you're still doing some stuff. You do a lot of stuff for the big screen on the scoreboard. You do music at games.
Yeah. And you know, and I'm starting to channel back on that. But yeah, I enjoy the music aspect of it because I love music, and it actually got me through when I was growing up. So I have a passion for music. But the other side of it is, as a pastor, as a Christian, sometimes the music that some of the young people like is not what the Lord would be pleased with me playing. So I'm blessed to be a geek, as my wife says, to edit the parts out that need to be there. So I enjoy, and I look down and watch the kids. They can enjoy themselves and get the beat and get the part they enjoy without offending anyone.
Right. We've had a few situations where I'm not sure that's so. Because you trust the kids. The kids think it's fine.
Oh, geez.
Like, that is not fine.
Back to that thing, when we had CDs to play the music. And we had a young man come to me right before a game. Coach Wimbo, this is fire. Here, play this. It's clean, too. I'm so glad the Lord said, you might want to listen to this. And man, as soon as I listened to it, God bless his soul, first name was something inappropriate. I thought, well, I'm glad we didn't play that.
Yes. Clean it. The definition of clean. What is your definition of clean?
Radio edit is what radio station are you listening to?
That's right. So let's talk non-football. What year did you begin pastoring a church?
Actually, 2002.
2002.
Yeah.
East Liberty.
Yeah, East Liberty. Yeah, and there's a story behind that too. We talk about building relationships.
Yep.
Two of my agents, okay, and actually their both name was Jan Howard and Jan Smith. They knew that I was a pastor. At the time, I was going to First Baptist Church in Marion. I did get ordained, but I hadn't had a church yet. And so anyway, Stan Kent was the deacon at East Liberty, and so Jan and Jan said, "Hey, our boss, he's a preacher. You might want to get him to come." So here's how God works. On Sunday night, I'm sitting in First Baptist Church of Marion, and I'm talking to God. I said, "Lord, I feel like I'm on the sideline. I want you to use me more." This is Sunday night. Wednesday, Stan Kent calls me and said, "Hey, we don't have a preacher at East Liberty. I've never been to East Liberty." He said, "We don't have a preacher at East Liberty. Can you come in and just fill in for one Sunday?" This is a one-time deal. One deal. I mean, so I go, and me and Dion, we go, and we say, "Let's go find this place first of all." And so we, the Lord must have did something that they asked me to come back, and I haven't left.
That's awesome.
This was like November.
When you say a prayer to ask the Lord to increase your territory,
yeah,
get ready.
And that's and you know what? And the prayer of Jabez. I mean, seriously, that's what,
I know.
Enlarge my
So
territory. True. It's not something of material gain. It's like, okay, God, I want to be more about what you want me to do. So,
Shane Garner said
yeah.
he prayed the same thing when he was at Cesar, and the Lord said, "All right, I'll increase that." And again, it's not talking about increasing monetarily or material-wise, but just increasing your influence.
Yes.
What a cool thing. But yeah, be ready. You say that prayer, be ready. You're still doing that, and you're also involved. You're wearing a shirt today that says Connect 360. So let's talk about that organization, and we'll talk about the one that we share.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Connect 360, where it came about is, if you remember the George Floyd situation,
right.
A lot of people were protesting. There was a lot of negative energy going around the country. And so Terrence Henry and Carmen Adeoye would say, "Hey, we need to have an organization that could maybe bring about positive change, bringing people to the table, have some positive conversations, some difficult conversations about racial healing and things of that nature, racial issues." And so that being said, so they started Connect 360. It asked me to come on board, and so it asked me to be the chairperson, and so I accepted that role.
Still increasing your territory.
Yeah, still increasing the territory. But again, going back to our keys, is building relationships.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
That's our key.
Yep.
Our key is we are interacting with the community. Okay, we're involved with the community. Education and enrichment. Because I really do believe that a lot of racial issues are due to ignorance. People don't understand. People don't know. Even myself, when again as a young adult, okay, I had someone that said, "Hey, you let the white man teach you how to dress." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He wanted me to dress like a thug. I mean, whatever. I'm just getting straight up. So my point is, sometimes we like people just because they're our race, and sometimes we don't like people because they're not our race.
Right.
And that's ignorance. Why don't we get to know people? Why don't we see what value people have to add? So really, if you think about Connect 360, then that's why we use the name 360, everyone being inclusive.
Right.
Full circle.
Yes.
Okay.
You bring everybody to the table.
Bring everybody to the table.
Yeah,
everybody gets a seat.
It is unbelievable what can happen when people who think they have a huge disagreement and they sit down at a table, and how those things get resolved, and how they look upon each other so differently once they get to know someone.
Yes.
And their perception, which becomes our reality, their perception changes, a new reality is created. And I love that. And we belong to a branch of Connect 360 called the Men of Decency.
Yes.
And we meet each month.
Yes, second Tuesday of each month.
And I tell you what, I didn't know what to expect the first night I went. It has been an absolute blessing to me to gather with men of all color.
Yes.
And to share and to get to know one another. And I've been so blessed by their faith, my relationship with them, how I've grown, how my eyes have been open to things, seeing things from a perspective maybe I would not have had otherwise. It has been amazing. I told you last time we had a meeting, I gathered everybody took a picture because I bragged on them so much. My wife's like, "I want to see these people. Who are these people?" And I think, and then what's cool is when I got done taking it, you heard them. I want a copy of that.
Yes.
Send me they wanted it too.
Yes.
And so let's talk. Inform the viewers, the listeners, about our ministry at IYC, the Illinois Youth Center in Harrisburg.
Yeah, and ironically, Denise Drew works at Illinois Youth Center, IYC, and so we were at an event that Connect 360 was a part of, and she asked me, said, "Darrell, is there any way that you can have your men group come to IYC to talk to our youth, because they need some mentors?" And so I said, well, yeah, I think we can. And so we talked about it in our meeting.
We did.
And the thing that I shared with you guys is if we're going to do this, we must be committed to it.
That's right.
And so don't say we're going to do something and don't do it, because these young people probably have been disappointed.
Yeah.
Because people say one thing and do something totally different. So yeah, so we started doing that. And it's been about a year now that we've been going. We go every other month.
Yep.
And so when we first walked in, we just did a walkthrough just to kind of, see the lay of the land. And Miss Danae Chapman is who we work with there. And she said, it's not like you see on TV. And it's not. When we first walked into the gym, there were some young men playing basketball. And man, they gravitated to us. They were glad we were there.
They did.
I mean, so it was awesome because it was like building that relationship. Okay. And so then as we continue to go back, we're starting to learn more as we go. But the people that we have in Men of Decency, they're either sharing a devotion with these young men or they're sharing a life lesson, a life story. Okay. And I think both of those are needed.
And one of the cool things that our organization did, you spearheaded this, is we took their weight room, which was kind of in shambles.
Yes.
And we refloored it. It was painted. They painted it, I think. We refloored it. We bought them new equipment. We wanted to demonstrate that this is a long-term investment that we have in you and your lives. And I think there's a trust that's developing, again, with our organization, that we're not a one-time thing. We're consistent. We're coming. It's been a challenge because sometimes there's turnover there. Some of the kids we build a relationship with end up moving on or getting out, and then new kids come in. But I do think that's not for us to judge. Right. It's to continue doing the Lord's work within the walls of that institution and just let it happen. Let what happens. And we're working with some employment opportunities.
Yes.
You've done some great things with setting up some employment opportunities post internment there.
Timberline Fisheries, which, again, Todd Goodman, real good friend of ours, and he actually gave money, their organization gave money to help the weight room, which was very beneficial. But the key is they have what they call second chance employment. So these young men, even though they may have some background issues that are not the best, they have an opportunity to work in an environment where they can make $15, $16, $17 an hour. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that's one employment opportunity. The other thing is we had talked about trying to build a relationship with these young men long term. Okay. So one of the things we're working on now is how do we do enrichment for these young people who are at risk. And
that aren't there yet.
How can we keep them from that?
That's right.
So right now, we're working on, and this is just hot off the press, we got a young man, and I may talk to you a little bit about it, but his name is Anthony Willis, and he was in prison for 26 years. And he was in prison at 16 years old for murder. And unfortunately, it's a situation he didn't mean to do it, in the sense that he was trying to do something to get money or whatever. And obviously, you can't undo what you did. But apparently, he's turned his life around. And there was 3 teenagers. He was one of them that the governor in this program commuted his sentence. So he was released. Well, the point is, he wants to be a public speaker. He spoke at IYC before. Ms. Danae kind of connected us. So he is going to come on June 11th, and we're going to have him talk to some of our at-risk students. Maybe there's some people in the juvenile probation area. Maybe there's some people that are in the ISS, in school suspension, out of school suspension, truancy. Some of the kids that are, that are not going to school. But then he's going to speak at IYC on that Wednesday, June the 12th. So June 11th and June the 12th, he's going to come and speak, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us to try to reach some of the young people before they get to IYC, that maybe they can hear his story. Amen. And they can maybe do something different, make a positive change in their behavior.
Well, one of the things I usually conclude the discussion of your career with, anyone's career I talk with, is what's next for you, and I think it's pretty obvious. You've left the Dean of Students job, you've left the coaching profession, and you have certainly found a new niche that's once again impactful, but in a different way, with a different group. It's still just as impactful, and what a cool blessing to see how the Lord continues to use you, Darrell, in those areas. And I am so blessed to continue to be a part. We shared so much time together in education, and now we're sharing some time together in a post-teaching, post-educational world. And you just make me better, man. You make me better. So,
Yes.
family-wise, I don't want to make this I hate to say a quick mention, but I don't want to get off here without talking about Dion, your wife.
Yes.
She's a treasure.
Yes.
An absolute treasure. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
There's
we've
no
been married
there's
for-
no
yeah.
welcome from anyone better than a welcome from Dion.
Yeah.
So tell me, you guys have been married for
29 years. Yeah, and we've been together for 30 years. And you know, again, one of those things that I almost messed it up, you know. But thank God I didn't, you know. And what I mean by that is because I was married before, you know, and we both have been married before. But you learn from that, you know, failure is not fatal if you learn from the situation. But anyway, yeah, I was jealous initially, and she told me, "I'm gonna give you 7 years if you don't change." So now I quietly say, "Sweetheart, it's more than 7 years. Thank you."
Yeah,
but I love her because she supported me. Everything that I'm doing, she supports me in it. You know? And I love her because that's what she has been about. And I fell in love with her because I've seen how loving she is towards the children and things of that nature. So she's nurtured our children and, you know, and things of that nature. But she could be the disciplinary as well. So, okay, because with me being gone a lot of times doing different things, especially in the insurance business, when I worked in the insurance business, I've worked basically 60-hour weeks a lot of times.
I wouldn't mess with her.
No.
She's such a gentle, godly woman, but Dion, I'm telling you, I wouldn't mess with her.
She gonna put you straight. She gonna set you straight.
And I'm sure she's always been honest with you, and we need that. A good spouse is honest, and that's how you get through things and work through things that you need to. And you've got 5 children and 6 grandchildren, and that's a new blessing. And how amazing is that, right?
We call them grand blessings. You
Yeah,
know,
they're
6 of them,
grand blessings.
3 in Atlanta and 3 in Louisville. Yeah.
Yeah, well, good for you. And man, I appreciate so much about you. And I've said this before. One of the great things about you in the midst of all your success and your impact is you remain so humble. And that's a rare thing for people that have had the success you've had in life and whatever you've done. And if I would have come to Marion and never made a football winner, just meeting you and getting to know you would have been enough blessing for me, Darrell Wimberly. And I mean that. And you've made me a better coach, a better person, a better man of faith. And now you continue to bless me through our organizational time together. So, man, thank you for being you and for your impact. And man, it's just a cool conversation. That's even though I know so much about you, you continue to feed me and tell me things, and maybe in a new way that I think made this special today. So thank you.
Well, thank you, brother. I was looking forward to it. I'm glad we got a chance to do it. Thanks for inviting me.
I am too. And I want to thank Ross and Abby again and Swinford Media and great smile over there from her. And I want to thank Crown Brew, and I want to thank our buddies at Adrenaline, and I want to thank you for your loyalty and entrusting some time with us to find out so much about these coaches and these individuals that have had a huge impact on our young people all across Southern Illinois and continue to do so. So today was Wimbo, and blessed to have you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.